So first of all, this video is not scripted whatsoever. I'm not prepared at all, and there's a little bit of a mess in my apartment, which I apologize for. But I will edit this video up, to just kind of make it like comprehensive. So as the title of this video says, I'm gonna be talking about my hormone replacement therapy horror story. However this sounds, I will explain it. It's pretty complicated, it's pretty complex. There's a lot of things that went wrong in my situation. There's a lot of external things that also affected this, definitely. I'm currently not on any hormones, psychiatric medications, or any types of treatments, not even supplements or anything. I've managed to just clear everything up and become almost fully functional again. However, just to give a little bit of a context, a lot of people watching this video will probably already know me as nosiaaaaaa, the musician, but this video is not intended just for that audience, so I will give a little bit of a background. I ran away from my house, from my family. When I was 18, I did it legally. I did, however, drop out of school. That's just kind of a little bit of a background. I'll probably do a different video elaborating more on this topic, but there's been a lot of just personal stuff. I've been in a messy relationship before, which definitely affected how I view myself, especially back then. And when I was 19, I've decided to start hormone replacement therapy. I'm transgender, just to make it clear. This is just an informative video and kind of want to talk myself out because I get into a lot of private conversations about this. I talk about this with like friends and on my Twitch streams and stuff, but it always just feels like it's not enough, and I just want to like put everything out on a video and just leave it behind, just because I feel like I'm owed this. At least I can't sue the doctor, at least as of now. I can't do anything about this situation except just try and keep on living. So when I was 19, I found this doctor, which was really reputable at that time. Couldn't find too many bad opinions about him. There was some opinions there and there, but I really didn't get in touch with anyone who's had an experience with him or whatever. But I went in there. He prescribed me hormones. I was 18 at that time, actually, but I turned 19 a few days later after that visit. This doctor, I'm not gonna mention his name because I've already been threatened with a lawsuit. I'm not gonna talk about him, at least now, because my living situation isn't the best either. Because of all of this that I'm gonna talk about. Informed consent. It was an informed consent type of doctor. He suggested those labs, to see my estrogen, my testosterone levels, but it was like whatever, The prescription was already there. I bought it out, and then the next day I did the blood tests, and I just started taking the meds. So the prescription that I got was 4 milligrams of estrogen. 4, that's 4, not that's two, 4 milligrams of estrogen daily, and a T blocker, which is called Androcur, cyproterone acetate, which I think this medication isn't even FDA approved in the US, or it was removed because it's notorious for causing brain tumors and I think hepatotoxicity. If I say something off, I'm just gonna put it on the screen. So, I started taking those 2 pills of estrogen, 2 mgs in the morning, 2 mgs at night, and 50 milligrams of cyproterone, which I've learned just, fairly recently that it's a really big dose, really huge dose, especially to be taken for 4 years straight. And this whole situation is kind of like a lot of this could have been avoided easily. But yeah, I started taking it. Everything was fine for the first, I would say the first 2 years, but thinking about it, just, trying to remember things definitely started affecting me way earlier, negatively. And I started taking the hormones in July 2020, and by the end of 2022, like around December, I did unfortunately get addicted to weed. It was like a deep psychological addiction, and I will say that it definitely feels like a lot of it is connected to the hormones, to the hormonal level, to the depression that came with it, the anxiety that came with it. However, my body was just, taking it well. I was seeing some effects of it. I was getting the blood tests done and everything seemed fine. Everything that was happening, I attributed to life experiences, which, I've had a lot of bad life experiences in my previous relationship. A lot of shit happened. I've made a Twitter or X post about it, which I will probably put in the description. Whatever, but there's a lot of stuff happening while I was taking the hormones and while I was taking smoking weed, and it all kind of just blended in together. I couldn't really say which is what, but I was functional. I was making my music. I was performing shows. I was doing everything that I could. I was sleeping well. I didn't have any, major issues at that time. But then, exactly 2 years later, in the summer of 2022, I broke up my previous relationship. Shit kind of just crashed onto me, and I attributed it to this situation purely. And it definitely caused a lot of stress, which, made me unable to do things for a while and stuff. But I was like, at first, I was like, motivated. I was going places still. I was visiting some friends. I was kind of, happy that I broke up that relationship, because there's just a lot of stuff that I wasn't comfortable with. I was uncomfortable with myself and stuff. So not being in that position, not being in a situation anymore, and enjoying those things, I was kind of weirded out by how I'm like feeling worse and worse with each month of this. I was dumbfounded by it. I was still like smoking on top of everything, which was definitely made me confused. And I've had to quit it. I've had to lay off of it. And I thought I'm just going through the most insane, like, THC withdrawals that a human could imagine. I remember not sleeping for 8 days straight at that moment, which did happen several times, not a whole 8 days, but this happened to me a lot. Where I would have like 4 to 6 sleepless nights. At one point, I stopped being able to eat, sleep, everything like at once. And I got on psychiatric medications shortly after. And I think this is going to be a good time to say what's even been wrong with my HRT. I'm going to put all the values or whatever on the screen as I'm talking about this. But I've had a hormonal deficit basically for 4 years straight. Ever since I started the HRT, I've had a really low amount of testosterone, which is kind of the amount that you want. So there's nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that I was on a way too high dose of the T blocker for years. I didn't have enough estrogen in my body. I've had normal male norms. They were just a tiny bit above the male norms on a few blood tests, usually just within the male norms. So I didn't have a dominant hormone this whole time. I was talking with the doctor regularly. I wasn't that type of person at that time to be looking through forums if anything is wrong with me. I wasn't really doubting much. I was naive at the same time, but I kind of got unlucky when I tried to reach out for help with this, and I was like completely everyone around me just kind of confused me on this topic. So, it started with me not being able to sleep for 8 days. I thought it's like weed withdrawals. It was a bad habit in the end. So, for me at least, like I was escaping something for a really long time because of the previous relationship that I was in. So it was deeply like psychological. I didn't know how to cope without it afterwards, but something like weird started happening, and month by month, I started feeling worse, and it's weird because I've managed to like overcome a trauma bond in my life. I found someone new. I found someone who I like deeply relate to, and I was like happy with the things that are happening, but it felt like my body like isn't just able to enjoy anything at that time. I moved apartments. I moved to a different city, and I had more opportunities than I ever had at that time. Decent savings, and it started out with just not being able to sleep, getting on psychiatric medication, which was mirtazapine at that moment. And I was contacting my endocrinologist each month, basically, asking if this is fine, asking if what I'm feeling is valid, if there's possibly anything wrong, if I should do any blood tests whatsoever, if there should be adjustments. And it was all through email as well. So I have all the files. And yeah, I would like do those blood tests, which would basically show that like I'm in a hormonal deficit, and this is like dangerous basically and not good for my health. But the doctor was like, yeah, everything is well. I made a lot of posts on Reddit. I was on Reddit a lot at that time. That was also a big mistake, but someone on Reddit in the end helped me with this and helped me figure this out. But a lot of people on there were like, I'm on HRT and it makes me moody a lot, and I don't think whatever you're going through is like possible from the hormonal treatment. I just got unlucky with the people I came across, and I didn't take it into consideration that those are people like completely different than me in completely different situations, and they didn't want me to send my blood tests or something. I didn't know that this is such an important thing, that the sex hormones can have such a huge impact, because I was taking the same doses of the same medications for 2 years, and nothing was wrong. Completely nothing was wrong. At least that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, there's no way. This is from hormones. These people are right. I went to a different endocrinologist eventually, and she also didn't bother to look at my blood tests. I showed them, she said they're fine, but the blood tests were showing I'm in a hormonal deficit. So, months started passing by, and I became a really anxious person, and I don't mean it like, oh, I'm angsty and I have social anxiety, type anxiety or something. I would wake up every morning, after like 4 hours of sleep with a panic attack, and I would be scared to move an inch for days sometimes. I would really struggle. Like, I was scared of just simply being awake at one point. I did try stopping the hormones numerous times, but each time I would try to quit them, I would only do it for a week or two, and then I would be like, nothing is getting better, so must be not that at all. And the anxiety turned into like really bad derealization. I felt like I'm just non-existent. Like, I was really, really struggling with like feeling detached from reality at that point. Also, like the psychiatric visits were all the endocrinologist suggested those. So I wasn't treated psychiatrically like before at all. I wasn't on any medications before. He was sending me to a psychiatrist, and they were putting me on like cocktails of medications, and no matter what type of medication I was on, my sleep was just getting slightly better, or whenever I would try an antidepressant, it would be a fully like placebo effect for a couple of weeks, which then would crash. By 2023, so like the timeline is 2023 now, we are starting 2023. That just, you know, turned really bad at that point. Was extremely derealized, anxious. I couldn't step foot outside of my apartment. Each time I was outside of my apartment, I felt like I'm actually losing balance. I couldn't keep balance while walking. So whenever I would go to a store or something, I was holding my head up like that because I felt like I couldn't like keep my posture, and it felt like I'm just falling apart. Yeah, I was just, extremely depressed. I couldn't do whatever I wanted to do. A lot of it, a lot of it, I resolved with like occasional drug use. Ended up getting into like moderate addictions, where I would take like really low doses of stuff for extended periods of time because the psychiatric medications weren't working. So I did this and that, and but stuff was just getting worse and worse and worse. Like, nothing was getting better. Time was passing. I couldn't put a finger that it's the hormones causing that, and that my hormonal levels are so bad, because I've been to 2 doctors telling me that my levels are fine. Heard some opinions that hormones can't even like cause it, and I was already unwell. I was already detached, quite detached. So I was naive, I was naive. I would keep getting those emergency psychiatric visits, new meds constantly. I ended up being on an antidepressant, Brintellix, an antipsychotic, which I'm just gonna put a name of it, and ADHD medications. They put me on all of those basically at the same time. I got some really odd diagnosis. I got diagnosed for ADHD, which I'm sure I don't have. And I never had it. Like, I never had any ADHD symptoms before I turned like 20, you know? And I got unlucky again. I went to a psychologist, which diagnosed me with ADHD, and she herself was diagnosed with ADHD. And she said something like this, which should have been a red flag to me at that time. But she was, she was saying things like, "Oh, yeah, I need free methylphenidate pills before I even do anything. All my kids have it. My kids taking the methylphenidate." She had like, teenager kids taking methylphenidate. So she was really, like living that ADHD lifestyle, really, and she definitely put it onto me. And when I got diagnosed with ADHD by her, she said that she's wishing me a lot of health and a lot of methylphenidate, and that's a little odd. Yeah, I started taking it. I was like on a whole cocktail, of medications. I was like fucked off my mind. I didn't know what was happening. The antipsychotics were causing me to sleep a lot, but the sleep was really bad because I would wake up constantly. I would sleep for like 2 hours at a time, and I would be so tired from the antipsychotics that I would go back to sleep. And I got those antipsychotics prescribed for insomnia, not psychotic symptoms. I only found out what's wrong with me just randomly on Reddit this year in January. I was making, new posts, trying to figure this out. Someone asked me for my blood tests results on there. I just typed them out, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're in a hormone deficit. Basically, this is like a medically induced menopause, basically." And I stopped taking them. Things weren't getting better for a whole month. That's why I couldn't really put a finger on it. Like, I tried quitting them before, and things just weren't getting any better until a month off of them. I spent about 2 years of my life basically just rotting in bed, wanting to die, not feeling real, not being able to like dedicate myself to anything. I was constantly trying to make plans which then weren't working out because I would just feel bad. I spent all of my savings, which I've had saved up from music, on psychiatric visits, endocrinologist visits. The endocrinologist would tax me a full price for just a simple email reply. He was also trying to prescribe me psychiatric medications and stuff, and I would take them. I was desperate to fucking feel anything, to do anything. I didn't know what was happening. I thought maybe like the weed, the stress caused this, and that's just my life. And I was trying to get used to it. Yeah, this like basically nearly ruined my life. What was happening earlier is that I started getting quite suicidal early on. The hormones. I've never had any self-harm or suicide tendencies before. I never self-harmed before, even in the deepest, like darkest situations. I never wanted to hurt myself in any way possible. I ran away from my house. That was fine. I wasn't on hormones at the time. That was fine. That was like a piece of cake, at that time to me. I had no money. I had no prospects really, except for the music, which worked out. But at that time, it was like nothing. I was just fine going through all these things. And then in 2021, there was like a really bad, odd situation. that happened to me, and I tried taking my own life at that time, and I ended up being hospitalized. And I've had this persisting suicidal ideation going on for years. I've managed to not do any type of like self harm, as I was pretty like traumatized by it for all those years since 2021. But the suicidal ideation just kept on going, kept persisting up until the point I quit the hormones. So in February or March this year, I stopped feeling suicidal like 24/7. Like, so yeah, that's something I could definitely attribute to it. And even my drug use, drug habits, I've been able to give everything up except for nicotine, which I kind of don't want to give up at that time. Any like psychoactive substance, I've been able to quit just without any effort. Basically, I've just stopped. I started feeling good. I tried like medical cannabis for a while since I quit the hormones, and it caused a little bit of a remission of my problems, of my issues. I wasn't able to process my like traumatic memories at all because of it, and it made me stuck. Um, just living through it constantly for a while, and like, I made some music and stuff, but there is overall like no benefit from the medical cannabis, so I quit it altogether, and now for some time I've been without any type of substance or treatment and stuff, and just doing well, feeling well. But yeah, a lot of things have been affected by this. I started having like, while still on the hormones, I started having like really weird ideas about myself, about people around me. I started being really paranoid about basically all of my friends. I started being mean as well. I had like aggressive like spells where I would just, get angry at someone and would end up not being friends with them because I would get those ideas, and I would just, end up like burning a few bridges there and there. And also on the internet, I started posting like everything. There's walls of text on my Instagram, just trying to get help. Just, I don't know, maybe like someone, but I'm not entirely sure why. But a lot of the people that I came across throughout the years on like Reddit and stuff were really not open to any type of conversation about hormones possibly affecting me bad. And I've done my own, extensive research, even properly done HRT, whatever that means, because it's kind of a new type of treatment that we use like bio-identical hormones for this, and those type of medications. Those aren't like, you know, um, those aren't been used for hundreds of years. Those are all new treatments in the world of like pharmacology. This is all considered a new treatment. Even properly done HRT can have its own side effects, can cause mental issues. I know that a lot of people that would have been in my situation would probably realize what's happening. But my life was just so stressful, and I was just so confused about a lot of things that I just simply couldn't put a finger on it at all. Trust me when I say that, like, the realization thing was like insane. Like, that was like the most insane thing I've went through in my entire life. And now I'm at a point where I'm so heavily traumatized by this, that I'm never going back on HRT in my entire life. No matter how I will feel about it, no matter how I'll feel about myself, I think I'm at a spot where I feel just comfortable in my own skin. I got the right people around me, and I don't feel like I need those hormones at all. I feel like I would just go through a slightly stressful situation, and I wouldn't be able to handle it, and I would feel off about anything, and I would attribute it to the hormones immediately. So I feel like for the rest of my life, just going through any type of HRT treatment is just not possible for me anymore. And I'm not really pressed. I'm not really pressed by that. I feel fine. The type of like HRT that I went through, the botched type of HRT, wasn't really all that effective. It didn't change that much. I look pretty much the same, especially now that I quit hormones for 4 months already, almost 5 months. I'm pretty much back to how I looked before I ever started the HRT treatment, and I feel fine about it. And I just, I'd rather just, stay stable, and I know that I'd rather just, stay stable, and I know that I'm like looking at it through the prism of my experience, and that I could eventually maybe give it another try or something. Maybe in the future, maybe once there's like more research, or different types of treatments available in Poland, or I move somewhere, something like that. But yeah, for now it's just kind of whatever. I'm just glad that I made it out, because there was plenty of moments where like I was like almost giving up, almost giving up. Like I was still making my music there and there, but me constantly, like nearly every month, going through situations where I wasn't even able to sleep for 4 days straight or so. Um, it's just, like life was just so undoable at that time. And I burned through all the savings that I've had. I've had like insane medical expenses, and I run my own company, and I pay really high insurance, and I wasn't able to use it whatsoever in regards to this situation, because each psychiatrist I would try going to I would have to wait months, and once you can't sleep for 4 days straight, you just want to get something immediately. um so yeah, I would, I would go into a lot of these half-assed Skype visits with psychiatrists that like simply just didn't care at all, didn't even bother looking into my situation. No good suggestions whatsoever from any psychiatrist, from any psychologist or whatever. Just no one just pointed at the right direction at all, and it was it's such a frustrating thing to me that I I gave those people like my last money basically. I was like supported by my mom as well, which is like shout outs to my mom, big shout outs to my mom. She was often like trying to pay for those visits and stuff, but that wasn't the only thing that I was like wasting money on, because I was completely dysfunctional. So I wasn't able to eat well. I was like ordering food every day, ordering groceries, just trying to not leave the apartment as much as I could, and that all just kept accumulating into a really messy situation. And I remember I've had one moment where I went on like a short vacation to Greece with my partner, with my girlfriend. And that was when I was off the hormones actually for like a couple weeks. It was like 3 or 4 weeks. And I felt quite bad, but I wasn't scared to go there. And I didn't know. I was like, okay, maybe this just like fixed itself, you know? Maybe this just like fixed itself. Maybe there was like some of the meds that I was currently on are working or something. And then I remember coming back from Greece, and I've had a booking in Germany shortly after that. And I remember just, I started feeling kind of bad about myself and not being on the hormones, kind of like brain rot stuff. The HRT wasn't working properly even, so it wasn't even suppressing any of that. So that's kind of what I meant. That's kind of what I meant with like me being dumb about it, and not really just keeping myself like together. And like at the time I had no idea it could be the hormones. It was like an experiment, kinda, I guess. But yeah, then I went back on the hormones. I did a live show in Germany, which was awful. I was scared to go there. I felt uncomfortable being there. I couldn't sleep, and I was back on the hormones, and I was like, maybe it's the stress, that's causing a remission. And that was summer 2023. And I know I'm kind of jumping timelines or whatever. It's gonna be a really long video, also. So sorry for that, but it's like a really long topic. It's also been like 4 years of my life. So it's kind of inevitable that it's gonna be a long video and a lot of random talking. I wouldn't want to make this scripted at all. So yeah, like this just felt like it's like forever. Like I'm stuck in this like maze limbo type of deal, and all these like doctors, all these people around me just are pointing at the direction that they're trying to tell me that I'm just mentally ill. And I've complied with it because at one moment I had no idea what's happening, and I had no idea what's like so weird about my reality now. I had no idea. So even going through these psychiatric visits and stuff, it was a weird experience, and I started having really bad memory issues, and that only stopped they only started resolving just recently as well. Because I would have a lot of situations that I would remember completely wrong and stuff, and now I can at least remember what I talked about like a month ago, so I'm not like constantly tripping over stuff that I remembered wrongly, and now I'm kind of just not that confused anymore. Even though it's not perfect, even though I feel like there is some damage. I have a tumor on my thyroid, which is from those medications. There's no other way. I don't have any thyroid issues. It's just a really tiny tumor on there, which I have to like get looked at, but it shouldn't affect any function or anything. I don't have any issues with thyroid hormones. I've lost nearly 20% of my bone density. It's not enough to be diagnosed as like it's not enough to be diagnosed as osteoporosis, but it is quite somewhat major bone density loss. And I'm having some like weird muscle twitches there and there, especially in my neck and stuff. There's definitely some long lasting effects that I'm still going through that I can attribute to the botched hormone treatment. And on top of everything, and the worst thing of it all is just the trauma that came with it. Like, it took me months to overcome some of the fears of like feeling like I'm gonna go somewhere and I'm constantly gonna feel like I'm gonna faint or fall apart in a minute, any minute. So like before, so like just 2 months ago, I would still kind of be like forcing myself to go outside as much as possible to try and break it through. But in the end, it was just the hormones, the hormones went back to normal, and that's doing its own job. And a lot of the traits that I thought are like fucked up about me started just going away. My self control came back. I stopped, like, I still smoke a fair amount of cigarettes, but I'm not like chain smoking anymore. I don't feel the need to, like, be on something. I already said that, but even regarding the cigarettes and just my day-to-day life, it's kind of like, I can organize myself, take care of myself. Started cooking there and there. Yeah, just been having a clean diet, really, and doing yoga. Have the mat, like, oh, it's mirrored. Have the mat right here, and I'm doing like yoga and stuff, and going out in the sun as much as I can, and just trying to find a balance between everything. And like, it's been working out. It's been it's been good, but it is frustrating that I can't do anything about the doctor, that he's keeping his own practice. I can't sue him, that he threatened me with a lawsuit. No, those are just kind of a wish for some type of justice. There's like nothing I can do except just try and really be the bigger, much bigger person in all of this. And just to leave this doctor alone. And I just already tried contacting some lawyers, and you know they're not really that keen on trying to sue a doctor. I don't have that much of a budget to sue a doctor currently. Also, because that could require some extra funds and could result in a loss and stuff, and that would be even more messy. And but yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna put some links in the description of this video, in case anyone wants to support, and in case there's any people watching this that don't know me as the musician that I am. 'Cause I think there's a big chance that there's gonna be just some people clicking just at this title and stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping this was just comprehensive enough, and I'm still not 100% well, but I wanted to record this video ever since I found out about this, and it's been 5 months already since I found out about this, and now it's like a time where I feel like comfortable and motivated enough to do those things, to make this video and stuff, and just back at work and stuff, trying to fix this situation, because it was like tens of thousands of dollars basically that went into me trying to get better. All those psychiatric visits, all those medications, all those like random visits anywhere. Like, I was getting like x-rays of my chest and stuff. Basically, I developed like really bad health anxiety because I felt really unhealthy. Everything hurt and stuff, and like the health anxiety that came from it, that ended up not being even health anxiety, which I was like diagnosed as, and everyone around me was telling me that I'm like paranoid about my health and stuff. Which is like, I don't blame anyone for anything that, like, was around me, trying to be a friend of mine throughout all of this. I don't blame anyone for, trying to calm me down in their own way. I just feel pissy about all of these doctors, about all of these doctors that like could have like easily prevented this. Which is kind of weird to me that like, I went to some like first care, or however you call it, doctors. They hate that I'm like been on hormones for like 3 years, and I feel really bad. And that they didn't suggest anything, like I heard no types of hints. Some of it is also my bad decisions, my bad habits, but that could have been as well contributed to some of the life endeavors and issues that I was going through. An overall messy situation, but the HRT on top of all of this is what made this horror story. Basically, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe that feeling fully that I was going through. It was changing and getting worse month by month, also. So, um, you know, it's really hard to describe the type of like the realization that I was going through, but everything just seemed odd to me. Everything just looked weird. I felt the most normal when I was glued to a screen on high brightness. That felt like relatively real to me, but everything else was just like a cartoonish like nightmare visually as well. I've had issues with facial like recognition, kinda. Everyone just looked like angry or mischievous or something. There's this one like disorder which causes like people to look like demons, kinda like some type of demons, like with stretched features on their faces. And it's crazy, but since I've stopped taking the hormones and the mental issues started fading away, people started looking way different to me, and even my girlfriend is just like looks different to me, and I've had this uneasy feeling of being around people due to this, like um just nothing just felt similar or welcoming in any way, really. And but yeah, all of those things dissipated, and I'm here. That's it. But yeah, that's just gonna be it for the video then, I guess. If there's gonna be some like comments asking about stuff and shit, and I'll just decide that I haven't said enough or I should clear something up, then I will probably make a part 2 or something like this. But at this point, I'm not even exactly sure what I talked about as I was recording this. This is like not scripted at all. I'm just looking at my screen and talking. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. There's gonna be a bunch of links in the description if anyone wants to support me. For those people that don't know me and just clicked on this video, the best way to support me probably is just to stream my music. But just to be clear, I'm not trying to plug my music that bad. I've been a fairly successful musician, and but yeah, like I'll just put it in there because why not? Why would I not? All right, and also I stream on Twitch. I will be talking about this. Probably some more. But yeah, that's gonna be it. So thanks for listening. Yeah, that's it. I don't make those types of videos, so I don't know how to end this shit really. So